CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
Recently I was at a function and there I actually saw a small boy. He must be about 9 or 10 year old. He kept on looking at me and I could sense that he wanted to say something to me. Then his mother was also along with him actually. So she brought him closer to me and then he came to me and said that I have been watching your CM 365 programs and I find them very interesting and useful. This was indeed wonderful to listen to from such a young and small boy, and I was feeling delighted definitely about it. Then I asked him, do you learn music? So he said, yes, I'm learning both vocal music and flute. And he mentioned his guru's names, and they're all quite eminent people in the field. So that way I felt very happy that he's been put under the guidance of the right kind of gurus. Then his mother wanted to say something, and then she said, can I ask you something? I said, well, no problem. Let me know if I can answer. I'll definitely do it. She said that I have got a lot of interest in music. I want to bring up my child also well, groom him well in the field of music to become a fairly good performer. But the problem is that I don't know anything about music and I really don't know how to guide him. So this is some problem, this kind of a problem is faced by quite a few people. I have seen that, where they really are interested to bring up their children in the field of music, but then they themselves are totally ignorant about the subject itself. In contrast to this, if we have parents who are knowledgeable in music, it definitely may have an advantage because of the fact that if you have some knowledge as parents, you can definitely guide your children and you can really give them some kind of suggestions for improvement, other things at home. That is, if you're already into music, you have learned music the proper way. You may not have become a performer due to circumstances, that's different, but if you have learned music, definitely you have the advantage of being able to guide your children to some extent. Now, if parents are actually top-notch performers, if they are very well established performers, does it mean that the children will automatically take to music and become big as performers themselves also? I would say that this does not definitely happen in all cases. Here you would have seen that if the father is a great maestro, first thing, of course, the child is lucky to have that music in his genes itself. The second thing is that all the time the father will be having or mother will be having disciples coming in, and she or he may be teaching the students. Then the practicing or the riyas or the morning sessions, and then after that all the kinds of learning, teaching that keeps going on continuously at home. All this seeps into the child even without his knowing. That is, rather unconsciously, it all goes into him and penetrates into him. And the music, actually, there is so much of musicality gets into him. But if that is the case, then in every house where there are top accomplished performers, the children should become performers definitely. But we know that this does not happen, and there are only few cases I could give as examples where great performers have had great, the children also becoming great performers. There are only very few cases. This is because of the fact that the child may not have the required passion to pursue the music as an art form, to take it up as a profession. So it's whatever be the circumstances, ideal circumstances that may be there at home, what are the ideal circumstances that may be there in the ambience around him, unless that particular person has got that passion to pursue the music, it doesn't happen. In fact, sometimes we also see that the parents are, when they are top performers, as children, they make them, motivate them, and they motivate the children to perform. The children start performing very well. But after some time, what happens? The passion quotient of that child gets waned, and so he may even stop performing. Sometimes they don't even take to music at all. However, the ambience may be at home, the children may never take to music. This may be due to various personal reasons. They may have their own reasons why they have not chosen to take music as their profession. And I could definitely quote the example of my own two gurus, Vairamangalam Sri Lakshmi Narayan sir and Sri.P.S.Narayanaswamy sir, where the children actually, none of them actually became performers. They, of course, did have some interest in music, but none of them actually turned up to become any great performers, even though the parents were such versatile and accomplished artists. So we see that this is also very important. The next thing is, of course, when the children of this great maestros take to music, there is always a sense of comparison that happens between the father and the child, or the mother and the child, as to who is performing better, or whether the child is able to live up to the standards set by the father or mother. This is always there. And even when the child starts performing alone, what happens is that comparison quotient always continues, and it is a very big challenge, I would say, for the child to evolve over the years. It takes a lot of time to evolve, to come out of that mold, or the being called as a xerox of the father or mother, and to come up with an own individual style, evolve an own individual style. That takes quite some time. But once this is established, then that child also gains or gets his unique status in the field, because of the fact that he has imbibed all the best from his own parents, and then after that he has evolved himself. He has evolved into a musician in his own right. So that way the sustenance becomes a permanent affair. Now sometimes we see that the children imitate the father or the mother, and this does not really take them on a long journey in the music field. After some time, what's happened, they become, they really do not really make a mark in the field, because copying somebody or trying to be a replica of somebody is not really welcome. It may be very exciting in the beginning stage to see that, but after that it becomes very boring. So every artist, even if his parents are great maestros, after that they have to introspect, they have to really gain the knowledge, and then they have to evolve as an individual. That is very important. Then we see that also, now coming back to the question raised by this lady about how a person or a parent who is not knowledgeable in music can help a child develop in that particular domain. For that, I would say that every parent cannot really learn music and then come to actually guide or support the child, because by the time the child is about 10-year-old, the mother or father may already be 35-40-year-old. So after that, with all the other professional commitments, to come back to learn music to a certain professional level to be able to guide the children is something very impossible. Sometimes you may have learned music at a very early age, and that may help to some extent. So here what I would like to suggest is that though you may not be able to learn music as a parent, it definitely helps to learn about music. And to learn about music, there is no age actually, because at 40, if you want to start learning music, the voice may not cooperate, the sense that it's already formed to some extent. But to learn about music, to gain the knowledge about music, to know about the nuances of music, there are so much is available online, so many wonderful books are there. So, and then there is also so much of audio material that you can listen to improve your skills in terms of appreciation, because of the fact that once you actually expand your vistas of your knowledge about the Carnatic music, you yourself understand what a great system it is, what a beautiful system it has evolved in terms of the ragam, talam, sahityam, composers, then compositional varieties, the concert format, the experimentations done in this, the kind of contribution that so many people have done towards developing the art itself. Reading about all this itself makes you develop some kind of a deep passion for the music itself. Now, when you have that passion and when you understand the values of the music, automatically what will happen is that you will tend to become a strong pillar, a strong support for your child. So even though you may not be able to actually guide him in terms of telling him what is right or wrong in his singing, you will at least be able to be a very great support in many ways to the child. And of course, as parents, one thing is very important, is that when you have an aim that your child should become a good performer, you should also be able to put the child under the guidance of an able and competent guru. That is very important, because ultimately it's the guru who is going to mold him and train him to become a performer. So once again, I would like to say that at different levels as parents, whether if you don't have any knowledge, that is a different kind. If you have some knowledge, it's a different thing. If you yourself are a teacher of music and you've been training other children, your way of looking at music will be different. If you are an accomplished performer and you're training your child, that is a different thing. So there are different levels at which parents can actually be there, but at the same time, what is important is whatever be the level of the parent, he definitely can contribute and must contribute much towards the development of the child's skills. Because just sending the child to the class and being oblivious of what is being taught to the child, that will only not, that's not arouse any interest in the child. Your involvement in the child's activity, his music, is very important for him to be groomed well. So this is what I told her also. So I suppose for different kinds of parents, this will also be some kind of a guidance as to how you can groom your child to become an efficient and good performer.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.